Hello, livestock friends, and welcome to this edition of Before the Bid. This is a podcast dedicated to the livestock sales industry where we go behind the scenes of the operation and speak straight to the sellers. We discuss topics about the important aspects of their operation, location, the people behind the prep work, and talk about some of the animals that will be offered to you, the prospective buyers. Hopefully, you've got your sale catalog close by. You might have to go look through that pile on your desk, but if not, then you're probably like me and driving down the road or busy with chores around the farm. And that's okay too. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoy this segment of Before the Bid. I'm your host, Andy Howell. Welcome, livestock friends, to this edition of Before the Bid podcast. And Before the Bid podcast, we have a first. On this podcast, we are going to go to Texas. We're going to go to Hillsboro, Texas, and we are going to talk some sheep on this podcast and some club lambs here, and have a young man that we're going to talk to tonight that thought he was going to be a Yankees baseball player when he was growing up, and he was into the livestock, and he was with his father that was a ag teacher for a long time, and so I'm interested in hearing about that. And also, he's got a brother that's an ag teacher, and also he went to school to be an ag teacher, so he has that ag teacher degree, but he decided that he wanted to spend the full time in the sheep and with the sheep flock and placing sheep, and it sounds like he has been all around Texas doing that, and they've had a lot of success. And so I'm very excited to talk tonight to my guest. They have a online sale on SC Sales, and it is going to be on June 2nd. And so I am going to be talking on this podcast to Mr. J.D. Pruitt. And J.D., I watched a little bit of bull riding in my day, and Donnie Gay, he's a guy that's got a lot of sayings and things. And one of the things that I remember really well that he says is he always says that you can always tell a Texan, you just can't tell him very much. Do you think there's a little truth to that?
Yes, sir. I believe so. Just I guess it just kind of depends on which Texan you're talking to, but most of us are pretty easy listening, and as long as you don't try to tell us too much and go over the edge, I think we'll all get along pretty good. So
that's great. Yeah, we've been talking to get this podcast ready to go for a little while, and I know I've sure appreciated your conversation so far, and looking for a great podcast here, and talking about these sheep that you're going to have for sale. Again, you have an online sale on June 2nd on SC Sales, so I want to invite everybody to go look at that. If you're not watching the podcast video, you can do that, and they'll have some pictures on there, and we're going to talk about those and talk about that sale, and we're going to talk about the Pruitt operation, and they've had a lot of success. If you go to their website and you can look through those, they've had a lot of success. But JD, if you would, take me back just a little bit, and how did this whole thing get started?
Yes, sir. I guess my dad, back in about 1965, 66 range, he got his lived on a ranch with his parents and grandparents. They owned a ranch, but it was all commercial. There was never really, any livestock showing involved in their family at that time, and he went to the county fair and went to Fort Worth just kind of as an observant, and decided he wanted to get into it. So his parents let him work, and he bought his first heifer when he was 7 or 8 years old and joined the 4-H and just loved it ever since. And he showed all the way through all of grade school and just fell in love with cattle. And as he got older and got married to my mom, he was working on cattle ranches all over the state of Texas and going to all the national shows. Had a lot of success. The good Lord blessed him with a lot of success. Then he had my oldest brother is 10 years older than I am, and he got old enough to start showing. And then my sister and then there's three of us, and he said, okay, I can't afford cattle to be successful, the success that we want with 3 kids and him and my mom being both school teachers. So he said, what's the closest thing to a steer or to a heifer? And in his mind, it was sheep. And we got into the sheep deal, and my brother started showing, and we started off on the bottom just like everybody else. We kind of went and he went and some help, and we kind of fell into it and started having some success and fell in love and haven't looked back. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it all started with my dad wanting to get a show heifer and not knowing anything about it when he was in 3rd grade back in the mid-1960s, and kind of just went from there.
We hear quite a few of those stories. It was a 4-H project gone rogue or gone out of hand.
Yes,
So
sir.
it sounds like that's another one of those stories.
Yes, sir, for sure.
Which is great, and that's the way a lot of them start, and I appreciate how you said how you started, starting on the bottom with most of those, and again, a way a lot of these people start. So you had to work your way up through there. And what are some of the things that you guys did to get better at that project and kind of help lead you a little bit to where you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it all goes back to my dad and just being the competitiveness, having the competitiveness just to wanting to do better every time that we went to a jackpot show or going anywhere. If you're not winning and you see the same people winning and being successful, you start watching them. And we still do that to this day. Whoever is successful year in and year out, they're putting in the work or they're buying the right type of animals. So I think just finding who is successful, even if you're not reach your goal yet, who are some of the people you idolize or some of the showmen or the breeders that you idolize, and you kind of try to pick that apart. It's no different than watching the football teams or baseball teams or athletic teams that are being successful. Everybody tries to imitate that to get to their next step. And I think that was one of the big things that we did was, or my dad did was, okay, we're here on this level now. How do we get to the next level? Who do we watch? Who do we ask for help? Just knowing that you're not just going to jump into this and go be successful right off the bat. Now, there are some people that have been fortunate enough to do that, but everybody starts somewhere, and most of the time you have to start in the middle or at the bottom and then work hard and ask the right questions and meet the right people and surround yourself around the right people to get to there. And I think the biggest thing that probably changed my dad's perspective and is probably one of the main reasons we are where we are today is my dad meeting J.B. Massey and getting with him and running the roads with him and just learning from him. We believe he is the sheep godfather of the industry, of the clubland industry. That's who we kind of credit all of our success to go back to, as when my dad was running with him and JB was helping my brother. I was too young to be showing at that time, but JB's had tons of success all over the United States. I can't even imagine how many banners he's hung, but just the wisdom that he portrayed on my father and then my father has passed down to me. I would say JB is probably is the biggest influence on us and our operation. And so I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, and your dad, being the ag teacher, it wasn't just you guys in the family that he was helping.
Right. Yeah. No. So he started off being a coach. He was a coach for 4 or 5 years. He ran cattle ranches and decided he wanted a little bit more stability for his family, and so he became a coach. And he was a coach for I don't know how many years, but 4 or 5 plus. And then my brother was starting to get in high school. My dad didn't want to coach my brother, so he became an ag teacher. We were still showing at that time when he wasn't an ag teacher, but then he became an ag teacher. And then so he started buying animals for all of the kids, for all of his chapter kids in Waxahachie, Texas, and also in Midlothian. And that's where he we credit a lot to ourselves and we take pride in as being a livestock man first and foremost. It doesn't matter if it's a sheep, goat, pig, cattle, or anything. We just want to be good livestock enthusiasts and try to be well-rounded. That's one thing that he's portrayed on us, is to be well-rounded in the livestock industry, not just be, okay, I'm strictly sheep or strictly pigs or whatever. Don't get me wrong, my go-to is sheep, but if push comes to shove, I can go out and try to find a good steer or heifer, because a lot of people say, and I guess my beliefs is, oh, I know a lot about cattle, but I don't know a lot about sheep, or I know a lot about pigs, but I don't have anything to know about goats. Well, at the end of the day, they're still four-legged show animals. They got to be structurally sound. They got to have terminal muscle if they're in the market class. They got to be just structurally correct as the first and foremost, and then have width and power to go after that. So that was probably one of the biggest things we took from him being an ag teacher for so many years, is trying to be successful in all of the four main species of the show livestock.
Right, and you told me a neat story last night about one of the ways that you kind of got thrown in to his ag teacher responsibilities when you guys were at one of the shows, and he had to be one place and you had to be the other.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I was in junior high. And my dad, we had at that time, it was one of the biggest ag chapters in the state of Texas. We had around 500 or 600, I don't know the exact number, FFA kids in the ag chapter. And so it'd be nothing for us to go, or my dad to take a group to Houston from Midlothian or Waxahachie and have 15 sheep and 15 head of cattle at the same time. Well, if you've ever been to the Houston Livestock Show, from one side of the barn to the other is, I don't know, it's over a half a mile. And so the steers would be on one side and sheep would be on the other. And, of course, our luck, they'd be the farthest you could get from one another. So he would get us there, and he would have all the kids lined out. And then come show day, it would be hard for him to go back and forth. Mm-hmm. So what he did, which really got my love for getting sheep ready and wanting to raise sheep and fit them and all that good stuff, is he just told me, he said, son, I gotta go over here and get these steers ready. You're gonna have to stay here and get these sheep ready. Well, of course, a lot of the parents are kind of like, man, this is a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy that's about to get my sheep ready for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. That's the Super Bowl,
right,
in Texas.
Right, not just a little podunk deal. It's a Super Bowl, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, there's over probably 75 or 80 in the class, and of course there was other ag teachers there helping, but he knew that I could do it. Of course, I was a little scared, but you jump in head first. Luckily, 12 or 13 years old, I was soaking in everything that I could from everybody around me and watching who was being successful. Man, I was getting them lambs ready and goats ready, and we'd go in there and we won a class and have a third and get a lot in the sale, which really just gave myself a lot of confidence to be able to do this. And I think that's where my true love, when it first happened, was doing that, and him instilling that trust and that hard work ethic in me to start doing that at such a young age.
Was that about the same time you decided that maybe the Yankees thing wasn't in the bill for you, and maybe you better just stick with the livestock? Yeah,
I'm still a diehard Yankees fan to this day, but I thought I was going to be a pitcher for the Yankees and play football for the Cowboys, and I grew faster and matured faster than everybody else, my classmates, and we kind of got in high school. Everybody caught up, and I was like, man, I wish I could, but I think I'll have a better living trying to raise and sell sheep than fight that minor league system for that long. So, yeah, it was a tough reality, but it was a good reality. So.
Right. Well, shoot, you picked two teams that were right next door to each other with the Yankees and the Cowboys, and
I know.
I don't know how you couldn't have made that work out.
Yes, sir. I promise.
Well, that's great. That's really neat, and decided that livestock is where you needed to be, and so now you told me last night, and I could tell, with ag teachers and things, that they like young people, and you grew up, of course, helping your dad doing that, and then you went to school to become an ag teacher. And tell us a little bit about your desire to help these young people, and what it is that you do now for the young people. It sounds like all over the nation, and especially all over Texas right there.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I guess one of my biggest attributes that I have, my family's given me is just wanting to help other people. I'm a giver. I just want to help kids try to reach their goals. And after you get a taste of helping somebody and helping them achieve, it doesn't matter if it's make the sale at the county fair or maybe get their first belt buckle. Some of my greatest achievements that are small that I'll always remember is some of these families that have tried so hard to win their first belt buckle. And when they win their first belt buckle, it's amazing how much gratitude that I receive, and how good that makes me feel to be able to help somebody reach a goal just as small as that. But sometimes the bigger families and even myself, sometimes we take that for granted because there's so many families out there that have worked their tail off and put in all the hours that everybody else does. They just have had maybe not the right guidance, or if just had bad luck. And how many families out there try just to even win a buckle or to make the sale at their county fair. So that was one thing that's always stuck to me and how much I've loved it. And I went to school at Tarleton State to become an ag teacher, and I was there the whole time. My grandpa was a school teacher. My parents were both school teachers. My brother's a school teacher. My sister has her education degree, and that's kind of all I've ever known. But my dream and my goal was to raise livestock and to try to build our own name and build our own brand. And I'll never forget, one day at school, me and my fiance, we were talking about it and we were praying about it. And I just said, I got to call my dad and tell him, hey, this is not what I want to do. And that was one of the scariest and most realest moments that I can remember. And I called him and I told him, and he said, well, son, just get your ag degree. So that way you always have it for a backup, and chase your goals. And so that's what I've done. And that's what I advise to everybody to do. It doesn't matter what your plans are. It's always tell the kids before they graduate or while they're in high school or middle school, high school mainly, but you always got to have a plan. Same thing my dad told me. You always have to have a plan. It's okay for that plan to change, but if you don't have a plan or you don't have something you're striving for, then you're standing still. You're not moving forward. And my mindset on that was, I'm still going to help kids. That's my main love, is helping the kids and helping families reach their goals. And I can do that, the same thing by working for myself and building our brand instead of being an ag teacher. And I can actually do it more and reach a lot more kids across different counties and different states. And so that's kind of where I made my mind up, and haven't looked back since. The good Lord's blessed me and been able to provide for my family and to have some success with it.
Right, help young people not have to worry about lesson plans and standards,
Yes,
and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah. I talk to my brother every day, and he's an ag teacher in Midlothian, Texas, and there's a lot of things that, man, you know what, I wish I could go to the classroom every day, and then I hear some of the stuff he has to go through and the lesson plans and the days. So it has its pros and cons, but right now I'm very happy with the plan that I've chosen.
Right, and that's one of the things that really hit me when we started talking, is about the ag teacher background. For listeners that may not know, I'm an ag teacher myself, and so I've got a little bit of insight. And JD, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit jealous that that you get to do what you do, and some of us are still in the classroom. So but it's a great way to help young people, and
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited that you went for that, and you have that, and but you're doing it successfully without that, like I said, without all the standards and lesson plans and things like that. So where all, I guess, around Texas, but you kind of expand out of that, helping these young people, and you travel quite a few miles helping these young people. If you would tell us a few things about that, and maybe where you go with some of these young people.
Yes, sir. So to start that off, I bought a brand new pickup in 2019. It'll be, I guess it'll be 2 years. I have it come December. I guess I bought it in 2018, right before 2019 year. And so less than 2 years, I already have 85,000 miles on my pickup. So I do
Wow.
plenty of traveling and plenty of driving. Um, but I guess kind of the stuff that I do is, of course, we raise club lambs, and then I have families that contact me and they'll see me at a show and come and ask and what I do, or they see our team, because the way I do things in our group, the families that I help, is we always try to be together. We set us a compound up together, because the two biggest things that I take from high school is being in the baseball locker room and then going to the livestock show with all my friends.
Hmm.
It's no, for me growing up, and I think for a lot of kids, it's not really fun if you go out to seek help and then it's you and your family pinned over by your pen, and then I just come over and go to your pen, then I go to somewhere else, and so on and so forth. And it's been really neat having these families all over Texas, and then we get to a show and we get together and we set us a big compound up. The parents, it's crazy how much the parents enjoy it. They're meeting new people, meeting lifelong friends that way, and the kids just love it because they might not be in the clique or whatnot in their FFA chapter or 4-H club, but they meet and have new friends inside of our group when we go to a stock show. But when families contact me, they see that and they say, "Hey, how can I be a part?" And I say, "Okay, here's what I do." I always tell families starting off, I'm going to give you as much help as you want. I'm never going to say, "Hey, it's my way or the highway," because there's 1,000 different ways to get to the correct way. I know it works for my family and what we've been successful with. I'm always willing to learn new things. But you call me. It doesn't matter if you're in Louisiana or San Antonio or the Panhandle. You reach out to me. We work out an agreement that's fair for both of us. And it's like some families that I have that are close by, I might check on once every 2 weeks. Families that are in Arkansas or in West Texas, I might check once a month in person. But I usually see videos or pictures on these animals about once every week or once every 2 weeks. And so a lot of it is over the phone or over technology,
Hmm.
which has been a huge blessing for that. But so just trying to help families, and I always ask them at the beginning of the year, what is your goals? What are you trying to pursue? And we're going to try everything we can do to reach them goals. It doesn't matter if you have an unlimited budget or if you have a minimum budget. I will try to do the best I can and always be honest with you, and we'll try to go to achieve them goals. And you're not going to achieve them right off the bat, and got to be realistic.
Hmm.
But I do a lot of traveling, checking on animals. What can we do better on showmanship? What can we do better on feeding or exercising or working leg wool, or just the little things. The little things add up to the big things at the end. That's what most people lose track of, is how much the small details matter. And so any families that are able to contact me and we're able to work together and be upfront and be honest with each other, and I'm willing to help and willing to grow. So I guess hope that kind of answers your question.
Sure does, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to add a little bit. One of the things that I picked up on one of those teams is perfection is merely all the little things done right.
Yes, sir.
And so helping those young people learn all of those little things, I think is great. And I wanted to ask just a little bit. There's probably some things when you get those people all over the country, and you're working with all those other people all over the country, and they come together. There's probably a lot of things. Yes, you are helping them, but there's probably a lot of things that you pick up at the same time that helps you help everybody else.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. Um, my I always go back to my dad. My dad's always told me, as soon as you think you have everything figured out, that's when you lose.
Right.
The livestock, I guess, is probably more than anything in this world is always changing. The sheep that we showed 10 years ago, they're just the livestock that we showed 10 years ago has can't even compare to the livestock we have. And I was talking to some of my showmen the other day. I said, "Can you imagine when y'all get older and get married and y'all have kids? Can y'all imagine what are y'all going to be showing?" And they said, "Oh, we're going to be like these." I said, I promise you it's not, just because it's so evolutional and everything changes. And I'm always, when I have new families, and even families that have been showing for a while, that contact me and say, "Okay, hey, we've been thinking about it. We kind of want to join up, and we kind of want your help." And I go to their barn, or I go to their house. You know what? I've never seen something like this. I've never seen you work their legs this way, or that really works. Or, man, okay, you treadmill for how long, or you walk for how long? So I'm always picking up, and like you said, that's a huge blessing for somebody, is just meeting new people and finding out new ideas and stuff what's worked for them. Or, hey, let's try this. I tried that a couple of years ago and I didn't really have too much success with it. Okay, well, that makes sense, and kind of go from there. But it's a huge blessing having all the different parents and different kids across the state of Texas and a little bit outside of the state of Texas for new ideas, because I'm always willing to learn and to better myself in this industry.
Right. Yeah, it's something that you said about how those animals will be in 10 or 15 or 20 years. And man, as competitive as these animals are, and as I like to say, as scary good as these animals
Yeah.
have to be now, can you imagine in 10 or 15 years?
No, I was looking. I can't even fathom, because I was looking at some old pictures and some videos my grandpa filmed when we were at the Houston Livestock Show. I want to believe I wasn't old enough to show, but my brother and sister were showing, and I want to say I was probably 4 or 5 years old, so it was probably right around 1998, 1999, and the animals that were being showed in the show ring, we sat back in the family and we just kind of laughed and say, "Man, these right here, like, y'all thought were the real deal, and y'all thought these are the big dogs, And you go back and look at old National Western pictures and Louisville pictures, and those sheep, those days can't compare with these nowadays. And I don't know how far we can keep going to make these animals look any better, but it's going to change. So it's going to be very interesting to watch when my daughter is almost 2 years. She'll be 2 years old in November. How much it's going to change in 7 years until she starts showing. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch.
Right, and some of these guys, when they used to get the handle on it, and they could kind of cruise for just a little bit, and now they absolutely cannot do that, because somebody's going to catch you.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I want to pick your brain just a second, and we didn't even talk about this at all, but I want to pick your brain talking about this subject. What do you think about what are some of your thoughts in the next 5 or 10 years? Where do these livestock need to be to really be competitive?
I guess it's funny, because when I go up to the national shows that everybody can show out, like the Kansas City and Louisville and Phoenix and Denver, how much different, and at the same time, they are to ours here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know. I guess what we always try to do is try to stay in the middle and kind of go from there. But like going forward, it's amazing in the last 5 years how important leg wool is.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Right.
it's crazy to believe, and I'll be the first one to admit I love it. And it's amazing how many hours it adds being in the barn, taken away from showmanship and exercise, that you have to work these lamb's legs like you do cattle. But I would say going forward, is the main thing I don't ever want to lose sight of is structural correctness. I think for a couple of years, probably 7 or 8 years ago, we were getting these animals too thick and too muscularity, and they were not sound enough on their feet and legs. I kind of like where we are now. You still have to have shape and you still have to be terminal, but you got to be structurally correct. And that's one thing when I judge or when I have a chance to judge is structural correctness and good in their lines and still being round in their rib cage. That's some of the few things I don't want to ever see us lose as a livestock industry. But where we go forward, I really don't know. I guess it's going to be, the way you're going to find that out is when some person judges a big stock show and shocks everybody and goes against what everybody else is doing, and people like it and start trying to make that happen and follow that trend. But the main thing is just not losing our structural correctness and our silhouette design of these animals. That's the main thing I hope we keep.
Right. Right, and I guess one of my thoughts is that there's so much, the classes are so much deeper.
Yes, sir.
You can have a really good, you can go to the show with a really good lamb or whatever it might be, and you're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to be all right, and this is going to be all right, and there is so many in there that are so good that you can come out pretty disappointed.
Yeah, me and a guy. We're talking, a very well-known guy down here in Texas. We were talking, and you go to the Houston Livestock Show or San Antonio, it doesn't matter, State Fair. You of course you see where you break in your class, and you go look at your class, and you go through and look at all the names and see the big dogs that everybody knows, and you're like, okay, there's 5 in here that I got to compete against that I know they'll be good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you do, you look up and you might be sitting 10th, and you have no idea who these other 4 or 5 feeders are that could possibly win the show or win the class. So the top level of animals or top set of lambs are always going to be phenomenal. But what's changed, like you said, is the placing animals from 10th to 18th, how good those are, how much they've progressed, and how many good feeders and good breeders are out there nowadays. It's you got to have a lot of luck in this game. You got to work hard and have a lot of luck, because this is no easy task.
Right, and some of those guys that have become good feeders may have came out of the Pruitt camp. You think?
Yeah, we've been very blessed and have had some good families and some good feeders, and so we've taken a lot of pride in that. We've been very blessed with that and having good families that work hard and do the stuff that needs to be done, the exercise and all the little things that we've talked about. So we've been very blessed in that aspect.
And it's paid off for you guys. If you go to the website and you guys have a list of winners on that thing that go a long way. If you would take a minute, kind of tell us about some of those winners that you guys have had, and whether you've placed them or whether you've raised them, or some of those, if you would, pick out some of those top ones that come to mind.
Yes, sir. So I guess when we were starting off back when I was in junior high, we were just trying to raise sellable sheep to pay the feed bill, which we're still trying to do to this day, as high as everything is. But we were just trying to sell good quality sheep to go to county fairs and to be successful. I'm looking at our website right now, and it goes back to 2015, where we won a couple of county fairs there and got one in at San Antonio. And going through and we started off at the county level just like everybody else did, and then we started having some more success. And my dad's had a lot of success going back in his time, but for me is when I got serious about this right after high school. We just started working hard, and every time you can get one in to sell at a major in Texas is a huge accomplishment. People take that for granted. You can win the State Fair Texas one day, and then 4 or 5 months later go to San Antonio and get the gate. So every time you can get up that red dot on the middle of the back of that lamb and go in there and make the sale is a huge accomplishment. So then we started racking up more sale holes at the majors, and then that's when we started getting some attention. And then we finally won a class at San Antonio with a young lady from Granbury, won a class there. And I was okay, now take the next step. And so last year would be the first year that we actually won a class at every Texas major. We had a class winner at State Fair, Texas, and then we had a class winner at San Angelo, which went on to be reserve grand overall, which is the first time that we got to soak in that big prize of getting a piece of a Texas major. That was a huge blessing. The Conley twins had that. Was a sheep that was raised by Valentine Club Lambs in Fluvanna, Texas, that who we've bought a buck from this year, and we're looking forward to the future with the Valentine family. And then San Antonio, we had a class winner, then a reserve heavyweight division, and then Houston was one that was always one that's always going to stick with us. Because that's when the corona and everything took place right then and there. But we won a class in the final crosses with a lamb raised by Pruitt Livestock. And then one of my senior girls that just graduated this past week, Riley Gratton, I've been with her since she was in third grade when she just started. And she actually won the heavyweight class with one that sold on our online sale last year, which was one that was out of her first show year. So that was kind of a full circle moment. Her first show year that she won her first buckle with produced her lamb that she finally won, Crooked H, or bow-legged H is what we call it, trophy. So it was kind of a full circle deal. So this last year was one of the by far the best years that we ever had in our company is by raising livestock and also buying and selling livestock. So it was a tremendous year, and we were very blessed to have that, and numerous county fair winners on the sheep side and the goat side. So it was a great year, and it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of long nights and sleeping in the trailers and sleeping in the barns, but I believe as long as you keep your head down and keep your faith right, the good things are going to come. And so it was a good year of big wins. We had reserve Hampshire ewe at San Antonio on the breeding side. We had third overall at San Angelo with one we raised. So it was a great year. A lot of families, the first time to make sale at a major, that happened. And sometimes those are just important and just as fun as the banners and the big ones. So it was a great year for our group and for all of our families, and we're hoping we can halfway repeat it this year and just keep the ball rolling and have some more success.
Right. So young people, when you're at that county level and you're getting along okay, and you think, can I ever get it? Can I ever get it? You're not going to get it unless you keep working and keep going on like
Yes.
like JD has, and like you've coached people and just keep hammering at them and keep, as they say, keep knocking on that door, and they may slam it in your face a couple times, but just keep right on knocking at it, and sounds like you've really started to open that door, JD, and had a lot of success, and I want to congratulate you on all of that. Tell us, you talk about placing some, and you've got some things at home, and you mentioned just a minute ago about a lamb, a buck that you own with somebody. If you would, tell us a little bit about those that you guys have. If you go to your website, you guys have a few of those that you're using and things, and that'll kind of lead us into some of these lambs. You've got some lambs out of some of these guys that are in this online sale.
Yes, sir. So some of the bucks that we bred to this year, our first January group that we sold privately treaty was out of Strictly Business, which is from Greg Beatty and Beatty Club Lambs out of Pennsylvania. He doesn't need any introduction. He's one we consider that's on top of the game right now. Those lambs did a tremendous job for us, and that buck did, and the lambs sold really well, and we're excited to see those in the future. But for these 8 lambs that we're going to have on this online sale, the lot 1 lamb, he'd be the only lamb that's sired by Wicked. The buck's name is Wicked. He's the only one in the sale sired by him, but he's a joint custody son that we bought from Al Schmieke 2 years ago, which is a joint custody was a kind of a trendsetter in the industry years ago. and he bought him from Brian Johnson out of Oklahoma. He also needs no introduction, but he's done a really well job. Wicked is one that is really cracked open the center portion of his body. It throws him extremely terminal in their muscle, with still a great look to him. Hard handling. He kind of combines the old school with some of the new school. He's done a great job for us. The majority of the lambs that will be on our sale will be out of a buck called Out There. Out There was a buck lamb that we bought from Colby Birch out of Nebraska, which Out There was out of Freebird, which Freebird was owned by Pruitt Livestock in Iowa. That we have a lot of our U-base and a lot of our stuff goes back to Droppert. Great family and great people that we've worked with. And Out There is a Freebird son, which Freebird and Droppert and Colby Birch swapped some semen, and he raised a buck out of Freebird called Out There, and he put him on an online sale. And I was in college at Tarleton in Stephenville, Texas, and my dad called me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this buck?" And we looked at the pictures on him, and I said, "Man, that thing looks good." And he said, "What do you think?" I said, we're kind of eerie. We can't just hop in the truck and be in Nebraska in the morning by the time to sell." And I said, "Man, let's just do it. Let's go for it, and we'll hope we do right." And Colby said he was good, and we trusted him. And luckily, I went up there on my trip up north in Indiana and to Mir 10, and I went by there and I said, "Hey, Colby, I got that buck lamb bought. I'd like to see him." He set him up, and I just was like, "Whoa." I said, the first thing that came to mind was that guy's Out There.
Mm-hmm.
He was just impressive and wild looking, and that's how he came up with the name Out There. But Out There, for our group and for our family, Out There has done a tremendous job. This will be his third lamb crop. His first lamb crop, we didn't breed many ewes to him, and we sold one on our online sale, our first online sale, which was 2 years ago. And it was a ewe lamb. She won a lot of stuff. She was reserved at the Heart of Texas, which is a big jackpot. Reserved it both days, and then she went to the Fall Classic and reserved the Fall Classic. She went on to San Antonio and become second behind the Reserve Grand and the Weather Dam Show at San Antonio. Can't tell you how many jackpots she was Grand to Reserve at. And that was what really got us started on the map, and people started to look at the ones we raised. And then last year, the Lot 1 lamb on our sale went down to the Valley in South Texas, won numerous jackpots, won a class at the Rio Grande Valley Fair. He was an Out There. The Lot 2 sheep on our sale last year was an Out There as well. He was Grand at Collin County. His twin sister is one that a family showed. She was the one that was third overall at San Angelo in the U show and the Weather Dam show. Both of those were Out Theirs. And then the Lot 3, of course, was an Out There as well, and he won the heavyweight class at Houston. So not having a big group of numbers of ewes, we only ran about 100 ewes, but Out There just has done a tremendous job on our small set and gone out to the big shows and to be successful. So he's kind of our bread and butter, one that makes him just structurally correct, extremely big-footed, extremely shaggy, eye-appealing with enough muscle. He's one that is going to stay with us for a while, and it doesn't matter if he becomes a pet, because he's one that just always is with the trend and always does a good job and makes him wild-looking, kind of makes him Out There. And then there'll be 2 lambs that'll be on our sale, which is out of a buck we call Coming At You. Coming At You is an Out There son that we raised last year, that Al and Candy Schmicky bought half interest of. They were going to try to breed him early, but he didn't get big enough because he was a March born. But he's an Out There back on a Miller ewe from Seagraves, Texas, Miller Hampshires, that we bought at Sedalia 3 years ago, I believe. He's a buck that just looks phenomenal. We don't have him pictured on the website yet, with everything going on, but he's extremely muscled up, extremely terminal in his shape, and the baby's only got about 6 ewes stuck to him this year. But when you breed only 6 ewes to a buck, and 2 of them are going to be on your online sale, we have high hopes for him in the future. And I know Al and Candy they're excited to breed him this year and to see what he does on bigger numbers. So these 3 bucks have all had, or these 2 bucks, Wicked and Out There, have had success both for us and for Schminky. And then Out There has done a great job, and Toby Birch actually leased them this year and sold some extremely high dollar ewes out of them. And hopefully the world gets back to order and these babies can get out there and start getting shown to see some success, hopefully.
What a multi-purpose name on that buck lamb.
Yeah.
Out there, he's out there with his look, and he's getting sheep out there, and
Yep.
so that's really neat. That's really cool. Any more bucks you want to talk about, or are you ready to break into these lambs that are on the online sale?
Yeah, so those are the bucks that we bred to this year, which we're really excited about. Is a buck that we bought from Miller Valentine out in Fluvanna, Texas. We bought a buck from him, half interest in a buck this year from him. That was one that when I saw him in person, I just called Dad and I said, "Hey, we gotta buy him. We gotta figure it out. I don't know what we're going to have to do, but we're going to have to buy this buck," which he's a Joyride son, which Joyride was a road rage from Hobbs. We have high hopes for this buck, and we're so excited for the future to get this guy's babies on the ground. He's only a March born, but hopefully we can push him and get him big enough for our AI for March babies this next year. But he's one that I think can be a game changer, be one that is known all over the country. He is the shaggiest sheep I've ever seen, with a big foot, round bodied, and tall fronted. He's a freak, as I would like to say. We're extremely excited for that partnership, and extremely excited to breed, to outcross a little bit and put that guy back on some of our Wicked ewe lambs and Out Theirs. And I think it's going to be a neat cross, and we're looking forward to next year with that guy. And then we kept a Strictly Business son out of our January group. We're going to call him Doing Business out of Strictly Business. He's a Strictly Business back on a Republic Mercy ewe that we bought from Miller Hampshires. He's one that is the most cracked open in the center portion of his body, and wide at the ground, and big-footed. We'll breed to him this next year, so it's going to be intriguing. We're going to be excited to kind of bring in some of these younger bucks and kind of line breed some stuff and get some stuff in order. And we're jumping in, and we're ready to take this thing off and ready to see what the future holds. So we're excited.
Right, had so much success this year. Just keep that foot on the gas with these
yes,
guys.
Sir.
Good deal. That's great. Yeah, just keep going.
Yes, sir.
You ready to get into these lambs?
Yes, sir. I am ready.
All right. You've got the online sale on June 2nd. It's on SC Sales. And so I want everybody to go down there and go to Pruitt. And if you're watching the podcast video here, I'll flash these lambs up here as JD talks about them. And you sent me the pictures, and man, I'm excited to hear what you have to say about this set of lambs, because they really are cool.
Yes, sir. Well, this one that we're starting off with, lot 1, this one is a Wicked. This is the only Wicked in the sale. This one we just flat dig. This silver sheep, I think, is one that has all the correct pieces. He is extremely shallow in the center portion, in his front rib. He's green. He's the 1st of April, but he's one that just puts all the good things together. He's the one that I think that has the potential to go win something. When I'm judging a show, or you hear some of the judges, breeders that judge, these are the kind that are hard to make. He's extremely big-footed. He's got heat wave hair for legs for the cattle people that are listening.
Yep.
He's with a big forearm. He's long-necked. He's correct in his shoulders. He just has the look at me now look. And when you get behind him, he has a big pin set. He's big loin, cracked open, over his shoulders. One that we just see a lot of future in and a lot of potential in. It doesn't matter if you're in Oklahoma and you're looking for a natural. I think he's silver and dark enough to go run as a natural. Or if you just want one in Texas that's silver that will stand out. I think the blue and the silver and the black, I think that's not an issue now. If you got a good one, it makes them stand out and makes you go to the top if you got a good one. And I think this one hits all the pieces. If you like one that's up and out and wild looking, I think he'll just get better as the days go on.
And it's always nice to have that little extra advantage if you can,
Yes,
if you can get it and get him to look at him.
Yes, sir. So that's lot 1. Lot 2 lamb. Lot 2 is an out there back on a fat lip ewe. So lot 2 is one that is a full sib to the reserve, to a ewe lamb that we took to the black and white last year. She was reserve crossbred there at that show and sale. Al and Candy Schminke bought her, and I talked to Al, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, and she lambed and had twin ewe lambs on her, and both of them are going to be keeper ewe lambs for him, he said. But this lamb, I think, is just extremely good in his pattern. He's one that is level down his top line. He's real big and robust in his rib, stands on a good foot and leg, and where you really like to see this guy and you really get all in on him is when you get to the behind view. One that already has a ditch going down his back. He's already got some lower stifle. When you get behind him is where you really like him. One that's a power sheep but still has a lot of look to him. I see this guy working down the road. This is one he's going to hit every guy. Every guy might not just flat love him, but everyone will appreciate him. These are the kind I always say that you get beat by at the end. This one's just extremely good looking, round bodied, cracked open, has some turn to his lower stifle. This one I think has a lot of future and a lot of goodness to him.
Another really, really, really good lamb as I sit here and look at him. Yeah, really appreciate him.
Lot 3, the reason I put this sheep lot 3, because he's identical in his type and kind as lot 3 last year that we had that went on to win heavyweight at Houston. So I said, you know what, we might want to keep one looks like that in the same lot. So hopefully we get some good karma for that. But this one is extremely wild. He is deep flanked. You can't make one's underline, I don't think, any better than that. One that's tucked up his chest floor and carries a lower flank to him. One that right now is not crazy in his shape. He's a little bit further behind. He's a little bit greener. He is a coming at you. I forgot to say that, which is the out there son. So he's a coming at you. One of the first babies that we've had out of him, and we just love everything about him. One that's tall-shouldered. He runs uphill. He's very smooth down his back and smooth in his lines. When you watch this guy walk around, he's high-headed. He just looks like a show sheep. And I think this one, like I said about our young gun sheep, I think you take this one home in 30 days, I think you're going to be calling me and saying, hey, I think this one's a real deal. I think we did it real good. I know he's a little greener, but this one has all the right pieces to be a big-time sheep. So that's one I like a great deal for somebody that wants to go be competitive and to try to go win something.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely agree. What a good one there. And this lot 4, the black lamb. He really caught my eye. He's really cool.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So we don't have very many black lambs, but when you have one like this, you gotta put them on the sale. So this will be an out there back on a blindside view from Droppert out of Iowa. So this is a kind of the mama's a Droppert, and then the dad out there goes back to Droppert. So this is kind of a double-bred Droppert sheep here. One that, man, if I was in Oklahoma and I was trying to go chase a natural, I think you need to look here. This one is real dark. He is extremely big-footed, probably the biggest footed sheep that we have in the sale. His ears are extremely furry, fluffy, whatever you want to call them. He looks like a poodle. He's got so much substance in his structure and his bone and his legs, and his leg hair. One that I think he's been one of my favorites for a long time. I think this one is extremely big in his hip. Of course, he's got the right lines. He's got the right look. When you get behind him, he's got a huge, big old flat square loin in him. I think if you're running at a breed show and you're trying to run for a natural, or if you just want to stick out and be the sheep that everybody talks about. Hey, did you see that black sheep that so and so had that goes to every show, and then you see that a major. This one's going to leave a good impression, and you're going to stick out. And I think this one's really cool and has a very bright future. He's been one of my favorites in this sale for a long time.
Yeah, he's going to be the black sheep that, we saw him. They're going to know where they saw him, and when he shows up and walks in, there's the black lamb.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this one. If you have a white sheep and you go be successful a lot, people say, "Is it that same one?" I think it's that same one.
Right.
They're going to remember this one. You go out and you have some success. This one is going to be the talk of the barn, and people are going to see you with them, and they're going to know exactly which one that one is every time.
They're going to know it. I wonder if that black sheep's going to show up this week.
Yeah, yes, for sure. So I really dig that one. Lot 5 is another out there, which back on Legit, which Legit was a Fear Factor son that we bred for a long time that a lot of our U-base goes back to. And this one's just kind of a combination sheep. This one's round-bodied. That's one thing we pride all of our sheep on, is being round-bodied. That was kind of our main focus when we started that. And then after we got the round-bodiedness and shallowness, we said, okay, it's time to add some more substance. And I think we've done a great job of that. This one's round-bodied, tall-shouldered, extremely, extremely round in his rib and in the center portion of his body. And when you get behind him, he's kind of like the other ones. He's big-legged. He's got some muscularity to him. He's got some shape to him. And if you look right behind his shoulders, you'll see how cracked open he is. And he's kind of got that tabletop rack shape to him. One, I think it doesn't matter if you're a first-year feeder or if you're trying to go win the big ones. I think this one is just a good feeding sheep that can go be competitive at any level you want to go. So I think this one's just as solid as they come. He's really doesn't have a huge hole in him that I would say. One that's just going to get better as the days go on.
Right. One of those complete sheep.
Yes, very complete.
Yeah, good deal.
Yes, sir. The Lot 6 lamb, tag 59, which he's an out there on Legit, which is bred the same way as the Lot 5. This one is actually out of my daughter's use. So when my daughter was born 2 years ago in November, I said, okay, so how can I set her up for the future? So I went and bought her some ewes. I bought a couple of ewes for my dad, just to kind of say, okay, hey, it's our ewes, but hey, I'm buying this ewe outright, so this one's going to be my daughter Caroline's ewe. And so this one's first baby, and I couldn't be more happy to kind of get her a fun started for college. This one's mom will be called Bigfoot, and if you're able to come look at the set in person, you'll see why. This baby and mama is just elephant-footed, crazy-legged, shag-wise. One sheep that is just good-looking. When you see them big old pipes as legs, and as a baby and as 60, 70 days old, one that's you think, okay, if that one grows into that, he's going to be a man-eater. One that's just a real solid sheep. He really doesn't blow you away at any angle, but there's nothing that you can really say, man, I wish I could fix him there or if I could change him here. One that has some look, one that has a little bit of power. I think one that is just good, solid sheep to go down the road. Kind of fits all judges, I would think. I know nowadays if you got one that's big-footed and shaggy-legged, you're going to get a look. And this guy's got that, and I think he's got all the potential to be successful wherever you want to take him.
She's not attached to him, is she?
Oh yeah, she doesn't know. She just attached all of them right now. So.
But you haven't let her in and said this one is yours.
Yeah. So But so that's that one. The lot 7 sheep. Okay, the lot 7 sheep is another coming at you, which is the Out There Sun. Back on an Impact 44, which is a buck lamb that sold for lots of money that Schminke and Carr and I believe some other few breeders bought together 3 or 4 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. This one is the stoutest one in the sale. This is the one that's going to catch your eye right from the get-go. He is just waylaid in terms of muscle, in terms of width. He's big-footed. If you want a power sheep, you don't need to look any further than lot 7. This one is power, but it's still structurally correct. I don't ever see this one being very big. I see this one staying moderate. So if you have a younger showman, or if you want to go be competitive, or if you have a later show, a later county fair, or if you're trying to go to Austin or to a later show, I think this one is a ticket. He is extremely stout. I don't ever see this one being very big. I see him being 125 to 135 pounds, big enough for the lightweight class. But when you get behind him, he is just chock full of muscle. And he's the first one that'll grab your attention just because of his base width and his terms of shape and muscularity. One that I think that if you want to go jackpot and you want to go win a bunch of classes, and this is the pet. This guy is great to work with. He's a pain to work with because he always wants to be in your back pocket. He's the friendliest sheep that I think we've ever raised. That's not a bottle baby. His mama did a great job with him, but he'll become part of the family. And I think if you want to go run jackpot and try to make the sale at a major in a lightweight class, this one's extremely well on that aspect.
Boy, he is a stout rascal.
So, and then rounding out the sale will be lot 8. Lot 8 is an Out There, back on a 2-1 ewe lamb, which is also a dropper bred. This one is a sheep that is extremely attractive from the side. He's long-bodied. He's tall-shouldered. He runs uphill. Good foot and bone, shaggy-legged. This is going to be a bigger sheep, I think. I see this one. If you wanted to show them early, you could. If you had an early county fair in January or February, you could show them there. If you wanted to show them up north, I think this one has a lot of growth to him, but one that can grow a lot and always stay pretty fresh because of his age. But this is just one. This mama has done very well for us in the past. She's raised county fair champions for us. The one that's just very attractive. I think he sets up. He's a showmanship sheep. Very attractive in his kind. Wide down his back, hard handling. Just a good all-around sheep that I think will be fun to work with, fun to show, and can get a lot of miles out of them. And if you want a bigger one and try to go be successful in the heavyweight classes, I think this one is the ticket.
Right. Yeah. What a great set of sheep those are. And again, that their sale is on June 2nd, and it's an online sale on SC Sales. So make sure you check that out. And JD, how can they see these lambs if they want to see them before? What else can they do if something really catches their eye and they really want some more info, something like that? What can they do?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is just to contact me. We'll get the pictures. Pictures will be on SC on our online sale, of course, and I'll be putting them all over my Facebook throughout the rest of the week. But if you have a question or if you want to see them in person, feel free to call me. I've taken off. My wife is happy because I've taken off the rest of the week. I'm staying home to make sure I can accommodate with everybody's schedule. If you need to come early in the morning or late in the evening, the sheep will be here, and so I will be here to show them to you. So just give me a call, and if you're not able to make it, I would love to chat with you and tell you what I think about them, or send you videos, or whatever we need to do for you to get the best experience possible to see what you think about these lambs. So the main thing is just call me. I'm very easy to work with. I'm all about helping people and trying to get my lambs all over the country and all over the state of Texas. So I'm willing to work with whoever. If I don't answer, just shoot me a text because I'll probably be in the barn working. If I don't hear it over the fans because it's already 100 degrees down here.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But just contact me, and I'd love to show them to you in person, or if you can't get here, we'll make something happen.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't looked these up, if you're just listening to the podcast and not watching the podcast video or haven't been on SC and you are in the market for some sheep, boy, I would recommend jumping on there and yeah, JD, if you don't know JD, I'll tell you from experience, all you got to do is call him and talk to him and man, JD, it's been great working with you for this podcast and I want to wish you good luck on these sales and good luck with having another great year like you had this past year, and hope those things go really well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time and talking with me. And like I said, I hope everybody stays safe out there in this crazy world, and just keep your faith and keep praying, and we'll get this back in order, and the shows will continue. This livestock industry is too great to let these things worry you. So just thanks for your time and thanks for your calling, and I hope we continue this. And if anybody out there is listening to this needs to call and ask about any sheep, just please give me a shout.
Right. Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I don't know what better way to end that, JD.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it very much. And again, get a hold of JD Pruitt. Again, June 2nd, SC Online Sales. And we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to another edition of Before the Bid podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Before the Bid. For more information and to learn more about upcoming podcasts and sales, visit us at beforethebid.podbean.com or Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram pages. For information on being a guest on Before the Bid, please email us at beforethebid@gmail.com or one of our social media pages. Remember, that's beforethebid@gmail.com. Happy sales to you, and we will talk to you next time on Before the Bid.